That's what makes or breaks people in this business, because here's the thing. If you got somebody who's got this down, right, they're going to outsell you at least double to one.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Third piece of this frame is intelligence, the discipline of intelligence. What do you think that means? This intelligence part here, think of it more like the CIA. Right? If I'm CIA, what am I looking for? Intelligence. And there's got to be intelligence in all parts of my business. Right? The first one, which is why it's also part of our core steps, I must have intelligence in my database. AKA my bucket. I must be constantly seeking and obsessed with finding my lowest hanging fruit at all times in my bucket. There has to be an obsession with this of my intelligence of who am I missing right now in my bucket, who's buying right now, who's selling right now, when's the last time I talked to them, and how do I call them first? What most average agents and low producing agents do is they come in and they just think linear. They just pull a list out, pop in the dialer, they call just randomly, not understanding that there has to be an order in which I do my calls, my follow-up, my touching. Why is that? Because I only have so much of this time. Second piece of this puzzle, my intelligence. I must identify and understand the pain. What's the pain or the problem of my prospect and my client that's having them want to make this move? Even though they tell me they don't have a pain or problem and they're not really looking to move, they're just kind of looking around, I got to be what? Understanding there's intelligence here I got to find that allows me to understand what made them go to that website, type it in, enter their name, information, email, and phone number. So even though they told me no, they're not interested in something, what the made you go online, Google some, type in your name, your email, and phone number for no reason? And they just happen to match up. And so I got to have that obsession with understanding that pain and going deep on it so I can really do what? Help them and use that as leverage. What happens when most people get the pain? They get it, and then what happens? Forget about it.
They're afraid to use it.
Most people don't even know what the it is after a month. Right? So the third part of this intelligence, I must have great notes. Like about my conversation. What happened with them? What they say about it? I mean, I went through every single one last week, all those 15, 16 deals. Not one single thing about their conversation was in there. If anything, it's a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, right? But nothing about the actual intelligence I can use. Well, why is that? Well, if I'm selling a lot of houses, I don't have the ability to be able to remember all that. And if I do, it takes away my capacity. The most freeing thing I ever did was just trust the technology, let all that shit out of my head, don't have to remember anything. I'll pull up the notes, I read it, now I can be laser focused based on what my notes say, not have to remember, was this so-and-so, or what was their really pain, or was this their kid that had to move, or was this, a family relative issue? If I don't log the notes, I'm not going to be able to follow to make sure I have that right intelligence. The next part is going to be a task, right? I've got to make sure I have tasks or to-dos. 100%. I say it over and over and over, and guess what people don't do? This happens a lot on the seller side. That's how they disappear, because there's no task in there. I'll watch people talk to them 10 times, and then what happens is it goes a month or 2 months, window not called, not logged, guess what happens? They buy with somebody else. You'll see the note down there below. Well, what happened in that gap of 60 days when you didn't talk to them? Right? Whatever it may be, it's important to do that and to have the extra level. Deeper connection. Because you can talk about real with people. Here's the thing. If I don't remember what we talked about last time, am I going to be real certain in my voice? No, I'm just guessing, trying to feel them back out again. And I come from a neediness of just what? Are you going to buy? Are you going to buy? Are you going to sell? Are you going to sell? I'm not coming from a true connection standpoint with my intelligence to allow them to open up and share with me. Right? Get depth in regards to how you have it, where I got to go to this thing called deep, not wide. Meaning that I go deeper with my clients so I have a better connection versus wide as hell and not really have any connection with anybody at all. And the fourth one here is the discipline of influence. I have to make sure that people like, value, and trust me and will follow me where I need to go at all times. Why? Because that's what a true influential person does, right? A true salesperson does. It matters the most. And so as influence, the first piece of that, right, is leverage. I'm constantly creating leverage in the relationship. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're going. Here's what's happening. Here's why it's important to you. And here's why I'm going to help you get there. So I want to make sure that we're doing what? I'm going back here to my intelligence piece. I'm taking this intelligence and actually doing what? Using it. A lot of people gather it, but what do? They just keep it in the pool, and they don't actually use this to actually leverage, to create movement. And so if you look at the leverage piece of this, it means movement. How do I get them to move? And what does that mean? Back to what Alex said, it needs to be purposeful. So my conversations are strategic. Every conversation I'm having on the phone has a purpose. Where's that? Well, I'm getting to the next piece in that puzzle. If they're a listing, right? I'm trying to get back face to face. I'm trying to get them to do something, whatever it is in that sequence. On the buy side, I have to have a purpose in what my leverage is and where I need to get them to move to. Rather it be part of my, get on my service, rather it be meet face to face, rather it be whatever it is. I got to understand what's the next move based on my intelligence, and I got to get them to actually move. If I don't, what's going to happen is they're going to probably sit there and just flounder to the right person at the right time gets them. Super important. Number 2, this is powerful, this is important. Number 2 is leadership. Do people actually want to follow you? Period. A lot of you wonder why it's not working, and you're probably not the best leader to them. Goes back to what? My energy, my charisma, all these pieces of the puzzle, you got to ask yourself this question: would I follow me? Especially when I'm talking about price ranges. $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 houses, right? You get in here, you're not ready for that because you don't have the leadership capabilities to your people. Now, if I don't have that, what I got to do? Study, 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 study. Right? This is a skill set. Leadership means I got to make sure I'm asking the question every day, would I follow me? A lot of y'all in the beginning are super uncertain in everything. You're questioning yourself about shit that they don't even know you're questioning yourself about. So your ability as a leader to them is diminished because you're so worried about some shit 6 steps ahead that hasn't even happened yet. I watch it every day. And so I got to be willing to understand, what's my leadership score like with my people face to face? And this comes down to what? Same thing we talked about last week. My connection, my tonality, all this comes back down to leadership. My compassion towards them, on the same time my ability to collide, all that's broken down into leadership here. And this is the hardest piece for everybody to get, is the influence piece. The third piece of the puzzle here, which is very, very important. Psychology. I've got to understand what makes them tick. I've got to be a master at psychology. This is something I've been studying for 2 decades now at least, is understanding psychology. What's that mean? How the mind calculates the words that are said. That's the best thing the NLP has ever taught me, right? The neuro-linguistic programming is how the words I say calculate in a brain a certain way. And so I have to become a student of that. Of the psychology of the sale. I got to be willing to think through everything. But most people don't get to that level. They just stick right here, go through the motions like a tumbleweed. I talked about. Right? I've got to make sure I'm a student of psychology, meaning why do they say this they say? Every time somebody gets mad at me, what do I got to do? I got to be willing to ask myself the tough question. Why is this person mad at me when it's not necessarily my fault? That's a student of psychology, because I need to figure out what in the hell happened in their brain to be able to calculate they actually got mad at me. But the problem is most agents never get to that level where they can understand the psychology and how it works before it happens. So I'm reading cues, I'm reading tonalities, I'm reading their response to me at all times to a level where I can understand psychology and plant what I need to ahead of that. That's influence. All that stuff is a skill set that has to be learned. The last part here of the influence piece, where I noticed the biggest lack at, it has to do with skill sets. So what I've noticed with realtors, even people in this room, is they want to try to learn all this influence on the fly. They want to learn it when they're face to face with clients. Problem is, that's how you get killed in business, and it doesn't work too well. I've got to be obsessed with getting better at my influence and my psychology. What's that take? Reps, right? And so the key here is I've got to be obsessed with getting better at my skill sets of influence. That's what makes or breaks people in this business, because here's the thing. If you got somebody who's got this down, right, they're going to outsell you at least double to one. The most important piece of this here is my ability to understand influence. That comes through what? Role play. Over and over and over and over. I thought it was very cool. Chris and a couple of you guys were doing role play last week. That's got to be over and over. It's got to be obsession. Because that's the way I get better at influence is just reps and reps. How am I able to overcome pretty much any objection? Thousands and thousands of reps. Just by practicing and doing it, practicing and doing it, understanding, reading, understanding psychology. Part of that, we're able to do stuff when anybody brings me objection on Thursdays. Part of the ability to overcome that is to understand how the mind calculates so I can frame up something up front of that so the mind calculates it that certain way. We're struggling, and really all agents struggle in these areas consistently. If I had to say, look, how do I take the hundreds and hundreds of things that people struggle with in real estate and break into the 4 main ones? These are the 4 main ones. And what do we got to do as a producer? What has to happen is, it's like this. It's kind of how the overall thing works. Is I start here, I get a little better. I get a little better. I get a little better, right? And what happens? It's like this. A little bit of time, and guess what happens every single time I go around? Stronger, better, right? And so I'm constantly on this wheel, but if I'm not honest with myself and where I'm at in each one of these, I'm never going to be able to get to that next level. And so I get this question all the time, well, what should I read? What should I do? What book should I read? Right? Here's your 4 main things that matter the most. And so based on what your weakness is and based on where you feel you're at, on where you're struggling at, you need to be able to make sure you're able to work on that. A lot of y'all are still right here. Ghost Town Thursday, Friday last week. But we all know everybody's not showing houses every day from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. How do we know? Take this board right here and look at this board, and it tells you how many houses are actually being shown, right, in that time period. So if I don't have a whole lot of numbers up on here on my board, what do I need to do? I need more honest and accountable to myself here. An obsession. So if my time's not great, what am I studying? Time management, time blocking, right? Whatever it is for that aspect of it. If energy's not there, guess what I got to work on? Energy, ways to be aware of it, way to do it. But a lot of times people still aren't changing. This here's what I wanted to help design as a framework for anybody in real estate to figure out where I'm at, how do I get to the next level. And we all have missing pieces. And so what these all are is your bucket and the holes in your bucket. And help figure it out.